Hello. My name is Mike Brennan. This is the Theodivergent podcast, and this is a trailer. I have two big announcements, I think. This is a trailer for Theodivergent Season 1 is going to start on Thursday. Season 1 is called Slipping Up, which is going to be 10 episodes talking about failure. And then, so that'll start, this Thursday, and then go until July 3rd will be our season finale. And in that, we're going to talk about, I'm going to bring on guests. I have a couple of episodes where it's just going to be me. Sorry. That might sound terrible. I hope it's going to be kind of funny, but then we're going to bring on guests talking about their different expertises and how they would talk about failure from their professional lens. And maybe their own stories. And then I have a book of poetry coming out called Imposing. And today, so I've been trying to, I have no idea what I'm doing on Substack. So I have a book of poetry that I thought maybe I would get readers to read the poems before I submit it to a publisher. But that, now that I say that out loud, that sounds kind of indulgent. So I didn't mean to be indulgent. I meant to kind of help promote the book and actually edit it so that the best possible thing would be sent out into the universe. So today is my last effort to do that right. But it's going out soon. So this week I'm hoping to kind of finish putting everything in the right order and deleting. My friend Matthew E. Henry calls it getting rid of his darlings. So I'm going to get rid of my darlings. I have too many pages. Although I like some of these. Some of these, I don't know if any of them are brilliant. I like to think so because I enjoy my own poems. But I'm going to read a couple of them. I'm going to do a poetry reading for Substack. And like 30 people are going to read it or listen to it. Maybe this will be the thing that gets me like double my subscribers in a night. It's kind of dumb. And it's very high hopes. The first one I posted a couple weeks ago called Lotus. Maybe it was only a week ago. I actually have no concept of time anymore. I don't know if you get to an age. This is talking too much. I don't know if you get to an age where time doesn't mean anything, but time, I have no concept of time anymore. This is Lotus. A man asked for a woman by name on his deathbed. He wants to ask forgiveness for what he had done to another woman whose name eludes him now. But everyone else knew her. He made her famous. He needed to get it off his chest. He told her the details. He planted her in the mud. She wasn't the flower. She was the fertilizer. His apology was sincere. He even cried a little. She stood over the bed. He begged her forgiveness. She stood silent. He died while she watched. I based this poem off a book called Sunflower, which was about it starts with the story of a Nazi soldier asking a Jewish person forgiveness for his participation in the atrocities of the Holocaust. And then the rest of the book is almost 100 different essays of what other people would have done in that situation. Would they have forgiven him? Would they not have forgiven him? Would they have punched him? So Lotus is based on Sunflower. Swallowing shards. It started small, a voice, barely inaudible and high, a splinter of a word, a glance sharpened by centuries slipping between her teeth, catching on soft tissue, tasting of iron or something older. He put sugar on the shards of glass to sweeten them. How thoughtful of him to care for her. She liked sugar, but she worried she might gain weight. He insisted. She bit into the sweet shard, chewed, swallowed, because it was easier, because that's what she was taught, because to spit it out would have drawn more eyes, more words, more shards. They piled inside her. You could almost hear the rattle of the glass, fractured edges lining her throat, a necklace of submission she wore in silence, a cacophony of wounds stitched beneath her skin. She learned to eat glass like bread, to make pain polite, to smile with blood in her mouth and call it grace. But glass cuts, and 1,000 sharp edges cannot be softened by silence. It's not grace but grief that fills her stomach now. She opens her mouth, lets the shards fall out, a language of rupture. She didn't excuse herself. The shards are shapes of warnings, weapons, but her words do not beg for more or less. And she feeds them back to the world, not with gratitude, not with fire. She's too polite to fight. For now. There was a like a meme or a question for the internet that asked women if they encountered, what would they prefer to encounter in the woods, a bear or a man? And the idea is the bear was only ever going to maul you, and the man was hit or miss. Sometimes men are helpful and good, and sometimes they'll do something that you would want death instead. So this is called it's called In the Woods with the Bear and Me. I remember when I learned that girls carry keys like weapons, knuckles tied around metal teeth, that pepper spray hides in pockets, purses, and small enough to fit beside chapstick, phone, and held close, a whispered and shared secret of survival. It was a knowing that unlocked something I hadn't seen, a veil lifted to show the world where fear is woven in, layers of vigilance I'd never had to learn, and the trust it takes to share that burden. I want to stand in the gap, to be the safer choice, if there is a choice to be made. Jokes, stares, holding the door so that we can look longer. If ever faced with the choice between me and the bear, how do I offer myself that you feel safe to stay? I'll distract the bear so you can walk, just in case. The olive branch off a wounded tree. 23 people in orange vests build a bridge. Trucks, cranes, yelling, "Good!" Faith confuses whiteness with godliness. On one side, people are waiting for food. On one side, people are waiting to enslave hungry people. 22 men and 1 woman in orange vests stand between them, building bridges for $35 an hour. Disposable people stand in the gap. Extending the olive branch means breaking the tree. Finally, I don't know why I'm reading so many poems. I have many more. Here, this is my, you can you can see my work in progress. This is my table of contents. And so I'm kind of reordering things and making notes and deleting a whole bunch. And then I'm going to send it off to a publisher. Publishers? Question mark? So it turns out I have no idea what I'm doing, and one of the reasons I'm doing this is in case you know an editor, a poetry editor, or a publisher, I'd be grateful for information. I decided to pursue a THD, which is a doctorate of theology, instead of my MFA, but I want both. I'm not. What am I trying to say here? I'm not. I don't think I want to stay in school forever and ever. But if I did go back to school, it would be to get an MFA. All right, final poem for the night. I've edited this one since I've printed it on paper, but only to change the I, because I'm not Eve, and it felt weird to write this from an I perspective, even though I wasn't sure how you would read it. So I'm going back and forth between the pronoun usage. I'm going to change it for this to she, but you could know that I had I before because I was writing from Eve's perspective. And it did work, so I kind of regret changing it. So if you have thoughts, share them. This one is called Eve Reclaimed. She didn't eat the fruit because she was hungry. She ate it because no one ever asked her what she was made for. Because silence wrapped the garden tighter than fig leaves ever could. Because no one told her that curiosity wasn't a curse. If she had known what it meant, truly known, not in the warning but in the wonder, she would have asked the serpent something different. Not what she will become, but what are you becoming? Not what's forbidden, but what needs to flourish. She would have invited him to stay, taught him how to shed shame, not just skin, shared names with him, tree, vine, rain, grace, said we don't need to trick each other into becoming, said maybe this garden isn't a test, but a beginning. She would have asked Adam to sit with us, not as a judge, not as an echo, but as someone who also wants to know what love looks like when it's free. She would have held the fruit like a seed, not a verdict, planted it, watered it with new questions. Can good grow from risk? Can knowledge be gentle? Can we learn without shame? They wrote it as failure, a bite, a fall, a curse. But what if it was the first act of co-creation? What if she wasn't made to obey, but to become? To wonder, to nurture, to ask even the serpent what he dreams of at night. Maybe the sin wasn't eating. Maybe the sin was that the garden was too small for love to bloom. This is a trailer for Theodivergent. Like I said, so season 1 is going to be called Slipping Up, which is going to be a mostly theological perspective about failure. But we're going to talk to filmmakers. I have a I shouldn't tell you, because if anything goes wrong with these episodes, I don't want to get your hopes up. But I have high hopes for this because we're going to be talking to people from all different fields who are going to talk about how we can think about failure in a way that is creative, that brings on something in terms of leaning into the future rather than the shame that failure usually builds. So, the first episode is me being pretty goofy. But I think I laughed at. So I watched it again just a few minutes ago, and I laughed at myself. I'm kind of a weird dude. In case you haven't figured that out yet. Actually, you probably haven't figured that out because unless you listen to the audiobook, you haven't really seen me much. So this was kind of my way of introducing myself. This is a failure. And that's what the whole thing is about. I'm a teacher by trade. I'm going to use my last minute here. I'm a teacher by trade and theologian by all the money I've spent. And my identity is made up of lots of things. I'm a writer, maybe a poet, although I don't know if these were any good. Being a poet feels a little bit like being a feminist. I don't think I get to decide for myself. I think other people have to see the work I'm doing and appreciate it, and then they say that I am. I don't think I get to declare myself into the world that I'm either a poet or a feminist or an anti-racist or a queer ally or any of these things. So, it's Sunday evening, Have a good night.